Hey, hey. Hi, guys. All right, let's get into this. We're going to take a peek at whatever the collective message may be for right now. We have a Two of Pentacles and we have a Page of Cups. This starts out with somebody who's juggling an idea. The idea could be, he kind of is like looking her direction. This could be somebody who has like a nice thought or an attraction or an emotional I'll say attachment possibly to a divine feminine, someone that they see as like wonderful mothering energy, somebody who seems like a bit of a hustler also. But it does seem as if, at least the way we begin, we could have somebody who is either wondering about her. Five of Wands, definitely. Okay, so somebody's up in their head right now. Okay, Five of Wands is going round and round in one's mind. Hi, Cindy Tex. How are you, babe? We have Page of Swords, not just up in their mind, but also doing a bit of reconnaissance, a bit of spying, trying to figure some things out. What is it that you're trying to sort out? Ooh, Hanged Man. Trying to see things from a different perspective. And what does that mean? Are you trying to put yourself in her shoes, trying to get into her head to figure out what would she think if I said or did such and such? Tower is sideways. Either this is somebody who's a little reluctant to actually fully drop their guard, and they're wondering if they would have to fully drop their guard in order to maybe achieve what they'd like to, or they're not 100% certain. Let me go further with that Tower. King of Pentacles. It's almost like this person doesn't want to fully give, but they know that they would have to. Yeah, Four of Pentacles. What is it that you want to hold on to, even though you also want to move toward her? Hey, Queen Libra, nice to see you, babe. Death card upright. You want to hold on to... Death card is about change, transformation, letting go. Six of Swords, moving on. I cannot figure out what this character is trying to get yet. Hang on. Seven of Cups and the Star. Okay, I'm going to say it like this. I mean, we started with the Two of Pentacles. It's our first card out, so we know it's going to be the strongest energy. And so we're going to go ahead and consider that this entire story could be centered around an individual who would like very much to get what they want and still have their cake, have their cake and eat it too. I'm going to say that this is somebody who doesn't really want to end things completely, but they want the illusion of it. They want to keep her, they're wondering if they could keep her confused, keep her at a distance from a reality, make her think that they did something that they didn't. So, I mean, if I were just going to quickly say an example of this would be single, so now I can come be with you. It'll be long distance, but in fact, they're not really single because although, they halfways distance themselves, they didn't really. Like, that's how this comes across to me. I don't know if that's what our story is, but that would be the quickest example of what I could explain. Alsvico, hi, honey. Welcome. Thank you so much for being here. You're so awesome. That means now you have, of course, access to all of the members videos. I have a playlist called Members, and every Monday I add to that members playlist, and I always explain kind of what we do in the members corner. So you can access that. I just posted a video yesterday, and so then you'll be able to kind of like get a grasp of what we do in the members corner and participate. Thank you so much, sweetheart. We have Wheel of Fortune. This person wants something. Oh my God. Alsvico, thank you so much. That was so incredibly generous. Thank you, sweetheart. Thank you for that. Sander Luke, oh my God, thank you. Sander Luke just gifted 5 memberships. Welcome everyone whose name just turned green. You are now members. I cannot believe how incredibly generous everyone is in this community. Thank you. Thank you for the incredible kindness and support you show me, but also to each other. You guys are unbelievable. Thank you so much. That was really, really sweet, both of you. Thank you, everybody who's here today as well. Tell me about the Wheel of Fortune. The Hierophant. Okay, so I this I'm going to say that this character, they're trying to strategize. How can I get what I want? But the thing is, I can't paint them as a villain. There is some very strong sincerity to all of this. They actually genuinely do want, I would say, for this doorway to be open to them, because it looks like they have very serious intentions toward her. Now, trying to figure out how could I perhaps manipulate and work around this, so that I could have my cake and eat it too. That's the part that I can't figure out just yet. Alsvico, thank you so much. I'm so honored you're here. And thank you again for that incredibly generous gift. Thank you. This character wants something very serious, but they're approaching it. Yeah, Six of Swords in the reverse. They want to say that they're leaving behind some other chapter of their life because they really want to grab a hold of this opportunity with her. And they really do have long-term intentions with her. But in truth, that would not be correct, that they have officially like cut themselves free from one chapter of their life. Is this chapter of their life something that they're ashamed of? Is this something that would be a stumbling block? Is this a lover? Is this, there's many things that could be stumbling blocks, lovers, upright, and the Fool. I mean, the Lovers is a card of choice. There could have been another person, and although they may not want to be with that person that they were with, there may be significant ties, but they don't want to talk about that. They just want to, like, you know how you can detach on paper or you can detach in real life? And sometimes, we would say, well, better to detach in real life. Yes, but think of the legalities. Like, let's say they own a home and a business with a previous partner, and for all intents purposes, all of those connections, which could be heavily interwoven, those things could still be so monumental that it's like, well, I actually kind of still live there, but I don't want to say that. But I have to keep paying on that house that I bought with that person. And there's so much that I've set up with that previous person that even though I want to move on, and I want her, I want this, I'm going to say this feminine that seems to be very hardworking. She could be an absolute star. She is their unicorn. She is the one in a billion. She is the person that they want. She could be an Aquarius, but she seems like the woman who can do it all. She's got a sweetness to her. She's a great mama. She's a hard worker. She can manage it all and make it look easy. She is the unicorn. There's only one of her in this planet, and they actually really want to be with her. But what they'd be able to give to her, even if they want to choose her completely, could still be limited. And that's the part that they don't want to talk about. So they're trying very hard. They're spending more time devising a plan about how could I explain why I'm not completely free to offer her everything when I should, how I should. And especially, I'm going to say it's probably about money. It's probably about their ability to offer her something genuinely stable. That is, they want to find a way to keep something secret, though, is the unfortunate part. And I'm only saying that because of the Four of Pentacles. This is that dragon in his lair, keeping some stuff hidden. Dude, don't do it. Or dudette, don't do it. You're going to damage the trust like nobody's business. Nobody's going to be okay. Well, okay, I shouldn't speak for other fictional characters, but I'll just say this. In my perception, it would be very hard if you hide things from her to get with her, and then she finds out later that you intentionally, because there's not going to be any way of not knowing that you did it intentionally. And then it won't matter how much you wanted to be with her. What's going to stand out most likely is the fact that you lied or you hid stuff from me that I had a right to know, especially if it has to do with how much you can offer me and just the baseline of truth. I think I would expect that someone has the obligation to be 100% truthful with me. if there's, you know, you're building something, right? Otherwise, you build on a faulty foundation. But let's see, what would her perspective be? We have the World sideways. We have the Six of Pentacles. We have the Emperor. The World sideways says, I don't know if there's a beginning or an ending, because it all has to boil down to like, what is it that you're trying to build? Are you trying to give me all you've got? Are you trying to give me everything? Are you trying to be the emperor in my life? So that would be probably the thing that's going to stick in her craw and be like, I don't know if I should bounce and leave this joker behind, or if I can believe that they're trying to give me everything they've got. So this is just in the event he tries this very strategic, like, how can I try to get with her without telling her the full extent of what my situation is, and the fact that I'm not really, I don't want to, or I can't extricate myself out of the former scenario. What is the situation here? Is it that you can't or you don't want to? It's that Tower card sideways that is like, ooh, that's a worry. Two of Swords, Knight of Swords. Okay, so it's that they can't. Two of Swords is, I mean, you're blocked. And Knight of Swords is, I'd be gone in a second if I could. I mean, it does look like, is it another person that you have built a life with that you would be essentially leaving? We have Eight of Swords sideways. Oh, it's a whole bunch. Eight of Swords is being stuck, but here we actually have like parental figures, and then they're like out in the snow. This always kind of, to me, looks like he's had kind of a meltdown and the parental figures are there. He's kind of like an outcast or something that maybe got brought back into the fold, but now there's an obligation. You know, let's give a scenario here. Let's say somebody financially has like big upheaval in their life at some point in, let's say, the previous 5 years, and family rallies and says, don't worry, son or daughter, come on back into the fold. We'll help you out greatly financially. We'll set you up, and whatever your current partner is, hey, we'll give you guys the funding to start a business. You know, like, here's where things will get really messy, because you do have an obligation to repay the kindness, perhaps, or I could see somebody having that sense of like, I don't know how I'm ever going to get myself out of this debt that I may now owe to mom and pops. And because it was at a time where I was also with some other partnership, like, we have layers of let's say, interwoven obligations now. And I could understand how it's like they are stuck, and yet at the same time, it's like, you know, so did you just forfeit all independence because you accepted assistance? I'm going to say that's the story because of this imagery, and because we're talking about somebody who is stuck. They're stuck up here, even though they know it's not 100% right to feel like I can never at all progress in my life, or now I have forfeit my complete independence and right to make any other choices in my life because, hey, mom and pops helped me out one time. But you can also see the intricacies and the difficulties of like, where do you feel like, okay, I'm allowed to actually move forward, and I haven't, you know, failed to repay the support I was given. You know, I could see that being like quite a, you know, a difficult mindset for this person. Like, I actually do feel some compassion, because everybody, any adult who's lived long enough knows you don't expect, life can go belly up for anybody. You break your leg, and guess what? You know, if your job entailed that you had to have a functional leg, and now you're laid up and you can't work, probably family's going to help you. And then if, you know, you're going to feel an obligation to repay that somehow. So my point is, we can get ourselves deep in debt or moral obligation really easily, and then it can be hard to know, when can I feel like I've repaid it and I can withdraw again and go back to my own life endeavors. But we do have the Emperor upright, which does say at some point he's going to have to make that decision. Hi, guys. So good to see you. Chanel Twilford, thank you so much for being here. Lots of love to you. Any ass hippie chick, Brahita Beauty, Mudsy Moke, Arshaf. Thank you, everybody. Angel vibes. You guys are so lovely. Thank you for being here. Oh, God, we have an Empress. Okay, so they are in a place. I don't think that this is him being married to somebody else. I think that they are in a place where they're looking at things and saying, because they are definitely in like a diminutive role here, right? You know, it's like they're an adult, but they're on their knees like a little kid about the size of a toddler. And we have these parental figures kind of perhaps making decisions over them, for them, around them. First it was assistants. Now it becomes like, but here's the thing, I am actually an adult and I should be able to have an emperor relationship of my own without family like umbrella over me. So there is that, you have a right to do that too, even if you owe a family obligation of some sort. So they're kind of trapped between a rock and a hard place. But is there something to do with another lover as well? Is that part of it? Frankly, the only reason I said that is because of that one lover's card, but that's actually him like choosing to kind of like, I mean, in his heart, he wishes he could like abandon ship of where he's at and go directly to this feminine, but kind of feels like I can't, but I don't know how to explain that to her. So I'm hoping I can kind of tell her that I'm free, but in truth, I still know I have obligation. But then he's wrestling with, but how deep does that obligation go? So I'm never going to be free to be an adult and have my own, growth in my own life. Six of Pentacles. I said, but is there another lover? And we got the Six of Pentacles. This is just a bunch of dudes. I don't know. Six of Pentacles is definitely about the people that we, work with and are sharing energy with. This doesn't look like a love match, but it could be a business match. There could have been another romantic partner, long-term partner, something like that, that at minimum has cooled to a business associate or, co-owning things, which is kind of what it felt like all the way through this. They may co-own whatever property, things. And again, if moms and pops helped out, that could be why this is particularly sticky. But can I go back to the fact that you would like, that's why we have the Tower card sideways. Okay. That's why they're wrestling with all of this. We have so much thinking and weighing and hemming and hawing and trying to figure out which direction these things would go. Like, do I land on, I have the ability to say I'm allowed to move forward and not feel obligated to other people? How do I do this? See, I don't think he can break free of the feeling of obligation entirely, but in regards to how you are, we can see your desire is to be with her, and we can see that you actually have honest long-term desire to in this case be married. We saw it with the Emperor Empress, we saw it with the Hierophant. We see, like, honestly, he'd be there now if it weren't for other obligations that are pulling. But let me just ask, what are you really going to say to her? Because you are not quite approaching her yet. You're in your head. This whole story is somebody who's in their head. That's how we started. And weighing the pros and cons of what I would say. They do not know how to explain all this. Even though I kind of think that it could be a little simple. Here's what happened. Here's what I feel I owe. Here's the reason I can't just bounce. Here's what I can offer you. Here's what I'd like to be able to offer you once I feel my obligation is complete. Like, to me, the past, the reason, the remedy, the future. Like, to me, that's how I would lay it out, but I can be a very linear thinker sometimes. And I don't know if that's right. I'm just like, let's get some solutions here. Okay, let me take a look. What are you going to come to the conclusion of, or are you going to find a conclusion? The Chariot, the Hanged Man. No. It's like this person practically gets up to start gravitating toward her and then goes, no, I better not. I'm going to go, no. I mean, not right now. I'm not. These are burros. Burros are donkeys. One is a blend between a donkey and a horse, and I always forget which, but that's what we're seeing here to my eyes. I feel like whichever the one is that's a blend between a donkey and a horse, because I feel like there's a stubbornness as well as this desire for freedom, and it's blended together. I was, because they always say donkeys are, stubborn. But I guess horses can be too, but I usually think of horses as like, racing wild and free. So to me, this is a great depiction of even the fact that we have two people riding the Chariot here. There's two halves of them. I want to move forward, but I'm curtailed by that Hanged Man again. I don't see them working their way through this thought process, at least not today. Ten of Pentacles sideways. It all comes right back to the fam bam. How much do I owe the group? How much do I owe? And what, is it fair for me to come in and say, I want to be Emperor Empress, but I'll only give you 50% of me because the other 50% of me stays in the past? Can I just ask one more question about why are you so much more concerned with everyone else's satisfaction or your obligation to them and not enough for like your own heart? Ace of Wands. Ace of Wands is, talk about the heart. This is exactly what I desire. Five of Swords. They fight with themselves. Or they don't want somebody to be mad at them. They think that they'll get the book thrown at them. Everybody will be mad. Judgment. They may fear being judged by other people. Well, we're all going to be judged anyway. We're going to be judged even if we do everything right. People will still not like us, or we will still find judgment, that because everyone is opinionated. You put 10 people in a room and you'll get 11 opinions, right? But with this Judgment card, particularly, they may say, if I went to her in particular, it's one particular person would be very mad at me. I don't know. Do you fear someone's judgment? Is there somebody who holds something over you? We have the Page of Pentacles sideways. Page of Pentacles is communication. High Priestess. I don't know that it's they fear any one particular person necessarily. It's more like they may think they'll be cut out and, like heavily judged, and they'll lose contact with the group. And, they're maybe even pretty sure that would happen. Like it'll dwindle to almost nothing. It'll be an us against them. I don't know. Ace of Cups. Yeah, if they follow their own heart, they may be judged for that. Like, oh, so it's all about you now. Well, it's always all about us to one extent, right? This is our life. We are sovereign entities. If we weren't supposed to be sovereign entities, we would never leave our mother's belly. The fact that we become our own people, family does have to respect that and let us go. If we were only a clone and a worker bee for the hive of our family, families wouldn't necessarily ever grow and change and, move to new places and start new industries, and people would not have the opportunity to grow and become a unique individual. I wonder if this person is used to, or just maybe fearful. I don't know if this is the feeling of obligation. There's definitely a strong sense of hanged man throughout this, which is, a martyrdom, a sacrificial, and then that fear of judgment and anger being directed at them. They don't seem capable of handling. Maybe this person really fears being, like rejected by the group, and that's why they can't choose themselves. Maybe they were trained it's better to always, like maybe it's a misplaced sense of like family honor and duty, where it's, you don't have the right to live your own life because you're part of the family, and that's like it's a control feature, instead of supporting each person, saying, oh, we're so proud that you're going out into the world and, creating the life you want. Instead, it's like you're part of the family, and how you have honor is as long as you bow and, surrender all personal identity. I don't even know if this is true or if this is just the way they feel about it, but they really don't want the idea of that Five of Swords and judgment coming their way, from what I can tell. So let me get one more here. Four of Wands. The thing is, we see them wrestling with, I don't want to be judged for following my own heart, for loving the person that I love. Maybe there's, it's a group where she wouldn't be accepted, yet she is their person. And it's like, they may not even want to talk to me if I marry, somebody from some different culture. Then screw the family, because if they're that narrow-minded, I'm sorry. Narrow-mindedness, bigotry, racism, that doesn't make anything in this world better. That is the most moronic and ignorant thing. And there's people have to choose not to be morons, but you allowing them to be morons and then tossing away your own opportunity for love, that's probably the weakest thing ever. But sorry, that's just my opinion. Sometimes Sassy Kate rides in. I always say my alter ego is this hog riding character who comes in and messes up a nice flow of a story and mouths off, and then I ride back out loudly. And maybe my alter ego is actually not Sassy Kate who rides the hog. Maybe that's my real self, and maybe this one's the alter ego. I don't know anymore. Six of Wands. We go back to something like a secret plotting, like how I could be successful. So it's almost like, how are you going to say that you want to marry her, but you also want her to be the secret because you don't want to be judged for wanting her? I would argue you are not an emperor if you cannot stand on your own 2 feet and love who you love openly, proudly. We can look all day about all the little subtle reasons, but I kind of think at this point, you either know who you are or you're not ready to be who you are. And that means you're not ready to be with her. But this trying to hedge bets and find sneaky ways to be with her, you're not an emperor. You really aren't, even though you're trying to find a way that you could be her emperor. But the bottom line is you aren't an emperor. And maybe that's the big thing that he's going to have to look at. I don't know. That's my opinion. I have no idea. Okay, 9 of Swords. He's having some pretty big sleepless nights about exactly that. I know. What am I supposed to do? My heart wants this, but I don't want to be judged. Well, you have to be okay being judged. That is part of being an adult. Yeah, you got to go all in. You got to go ahead and make your claim. There's so many times in life where we will not be supported. And that, I always think that is the test of whether or not you're an adult. Can you still say what you believe, regardless of whether or not somebody else agrees with you? Do you still need everyone's approval, particularly your group? If that is the case, then you probably aren't yet an adult. And that's such a hard thing, right? It's so hard to not have the approval, especially of the people closest to us and our greatest support network. But at the same time, unless we can handle that calmly and say, I know you won't like this, but I'm not here to please everybody. I'm doing the thing that is me. And if you really love me, you'll accept exactly who I am. And if you can't, then maybe you didn't love me that much after all. But you have to respect that I'm a sovereign individual with different ideas, and I love somebody that you may not agree with. If they can't say that yet and really be okay with it, then I would say they're not ready. They're still asking mom if they can have another cookie. They're still asking dad if they can, stay up an hour late at night. That's kind of the equivalent. And that's where we got to stop being a kid. They know this. The only way forward, especially with her, is to go ahead. There's the Tower upright. It was sideways all this time until now. I would have to go ahead and lay it all on the line and announce I'm manifesting the life that I want. And that's what they're really stressed out over. That's why this whole thing has been, how can I dodge doing that? How can I dodge doing the thing that I absolutely know that I have to do, when that's a scary thing? But that's your final test as to whether or not you're an emperor. Or empress. Please don't. I don't read for genders. It's just we've seen the emperor a whole bunch of times. That also depicts whether or not you can be married to that person that you call your unicorn, that 1 in a billion. Because you notice here, like even the Pope is blocking this, saying, no, you cannot walk across this bridge into this green, lush, wonderful marriage. You'll never be able to marry her if you're never going to let her be more than a secret. And if you're going to still run over here, keep your family separate and, hide this and then, but be with her, you're never going to be able to marry her. How would that work? So think about the long term. What do you really want? And I think that is where their concern is. I think they've been asking themselves the wrong question all this time. How can I, juggle both things? That is how we began. How can I juggle everything? And the answer is you cannot. This is where you make your stance. You pick transparency and you risk the group judging you in order to be who you truly are, love who you love. Maybe this is a taboo relationship. Just because we saw masculine and feminine does not mean, all of my stories could always be same-sex couple, reverse gender roles, and any arrangement thereof. So that could be something as well. But the bottom line is they know you can't. That's why they're all stuck and going round and round and round, cycling through all these questions when they already know the answer. The answer is they're really scared. This person has been heavily puppeted. They probably have a lot of scars. I don't mean to sound so harsh on this character, like you just need to grow up. Even though at the foundational level, them advocating for who they truly are is still, that's maybe a gentler way to say it, but the message is the same. But how difficult when you're used to being puppeted and there's shame and there's, other, pressure factors on them from the group and doing things that they want versus the approval of the group. It would be very scary, and it would be very hard, and it would take a lot for them. And this is maybe why they're also thinking so much about it. You see the yin yang is right there in the skull. Like, this is somebody who wants peace. They want to feel not petrified by this choice that they would have to make. Oh, that's really scary. Queen of Wands. But if, again, we keep coming back to, but I can't let go of her. If I want to be the, Emperor Empress relationship with this incredible, fabulous person who is the most luscious, lovely, amazing, transformative person in my life, if I want to be with her and be able to stand by her side, it is going to require me to face this big, 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 scary step, which would be, maybe this will be the first time they've ever claimed their genuine independence, like, period. And that's why this is so monumental for them. I will say this, how beautiful it is that she's such an agent of, I'll say, positive change in their life, because it's making them ask themselves those deep questions. Am I living under someone else's jurisdiction, under somebody else's boot heel, or am I living according to who I am? And so she, I think, is a really lovely, like, transformational energy in their life. The fact that they would even consider, when this is this scary for them, the fact that they would even consider doing this at all speaks volumes about how important she really is to them. Page of Cups and the Hanged Man. There is also a really good chance they're just going to say, I'm sorry, I can't do it. And that will be a tragedy for them, because maybe in this lifetime they're not going to be able to do it, because they know exactly what they have to do. But they may wind up saying, I'm sorry, I can't. And unfortunately, that is literally a 50-50 chance right now. Instead of asking, like, oh, universe, what should they do? Can we just see what is the most likely thing right now that they will do? No, actually, let's just jump way ahead and ask the question, in this lifetime where they have this particular name, because let's say this is a big lesson for this lifetime, but maybe next lifetime, if they don't do it this lifetime, maybe next lifetime they will. But let's just say, for this lifetime, what is the most likely thing for them to do? Temperance, 8 of Pentacles. Honestly, to try to find peace and to keep working on, you notice they had so much fear and so much, stress around this. I have to say, I would not be surprised if they don't make any outward changes in their life, but if instead they start to focus on, like, working on their courage, their bravery, working on finding a sense of peace, so they don't have this level of stress surrounding something, like sovereignty. 10 of Swords, and eventually at least working to the point of getting themselves free of all of this kind of needless. See, I don't know. This person might have just put themselves, like, disempowered themselves to a certain extent. we do see them having a breakthrough. It may not come immediately, but it says, and there's even two people standing side by side on the sun card. It is very possible that if they, and I kind of think that this is such a nice message on this, instead of forcing themselves to just like leap forward right now and be like, I'm so petrified, maybe they need some time to adjust to this. Maybe they need whatever, 8 months or something to not exactly choose to go after her, nor exactly choose to distance themselves, but instead start choosing to do things only for them, for their confidence building. If they need to be a little bit more distanced, like from family or a group, like financially, they may really start doing that as well. And that could give them a sense of like personal accomplishment and like identity separate from the group. I could see how that's probably the most important thing, to first find peace, not stress. And that takes, they got to take the timeline pressure off of themselves and start working on, let me gain my independence here. Let me focus on what I need to do. And then I can go ahead and I can, hold my head up and I can exit a situation without being fearful. Then I can speak my piece and I can say, listen, fam bam, I actually want to go this other direction. You may or may not approve. That's okay. Once they feel less obligated to people please because they found their own like confidence, I could see how that would be step one. And then they can go ahead and make those decisions and not like fear the repercussions or the, being ostracized or anything like that. And then they can also hold their head up as they approach her. I think that that's the greatest outcome there could be, because that is way better time spent than them, going around in their head about like, okay, how can I go to her when I'm not really ready to try to hedge bets, try to keep this, but keep her from it, and da 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 da. This is such a much better energy. Actually, I'm so relieved for this character, because it's like, okay, there's your solution. There's your solution. They can't just rip off the Band-Aid. This has to be a progression for them of building confidence first, and even maybe feeling like I have the right to advocate for myself. But they have to work up to that level first. And I think that's such a nice message. You guys, so good to see you. Evelyn. Sorry, I always want to say Ravelyn. Thank you for being here, you guys. Lalu, thanks everybody for giving it a thumbs up. Thank you so much for subscribing, you guys. I so appreciate you. The Blue Star, awesome to hang out with you. Lalu, what a delight, my dear. How are you? Annie S., thank you, honey. All right, we're going to get some zodiacs today and tonight as well. Sassy, you're adorable. Squish fish. I was revving my engine, wasn't I? Deep Dee Dee, hi, sweetheart. It's pouring rain right back at you. Ms. Angie, nice to see you. Denise is in here. Oh, so nice to catch you, Denisa. Myra J, awesome to hang with you. Morg's Machine, Limitless Babe, Emma Lisa, Lauren Co. Fee's Mystic Faith, Majorca is Atlantis, Cater Z, Bro Vibes. Isn't it the truth, Bro Vibes? I feel so touched. You guys are the most incredible community. I don't have a lot of spare time, so I don't oftentimes get a chance to watch other channels very much, other than like, Breaking Points is a channel I really, really enjoy for their, like balanced take on things. But I don't know that I've seen communities be this giving. I don't know if this is just completely unusual. I feel like it's completely unusual. I don't know how I got such an incredible community of people that have such incredible, huge hearts, but I am grateful all the time. You guys are unbelievable. And I feel like it's the most special thing in the world. Maybe it's super common, but I don't think so. I think you guys are something that I've never seen or heard of before. I don't see this anywhere, although, like I say, admittedly, I don't see a whole lot perhaps, but you guys are absolutely unbelievably unique in my eyes, and so touching. Thank you. Heavy chick. Thank you, honey. Angel vibes. Thanks again. Sandra Luke, you angel. Thank you for that. Sheena Bowen, Bruhita Beauty and Cindy, Arashef Sadiq, thank you for being here. Tanya Jagger, Tan Jagger. Alana Williams, wonderful to see you. Love you too. Alvis, thank you again. Al's Alvisco. I'm so sorry. It's going to take me just a little bit to be able to roll that off my tongue properly, but thank you again. See Nelly Run. Hi, babe. And again, welcome to the new members, courtesy of Sander Luke. Thank you, Sander Luke. BM Leave, Angel Vibes, Sugar Mama Sacred Sounds, Brandy 8348, and Aaron Kyle 3846. You guys are all members, courtesy of Sander Luke. All right, you guys. I'm going to bounce on out. We'll get to some zodiacs next. No filters, mod. Hi, hun. All right, you guys. I'll see you again soon. Oh my God, Cindy, that's awesome. You keep forgetting to mention that since the winter solstice, you have a replica of Stonehenge at UTPV. I love that. I love that. Isn't Stonehenge amazing? Sarah Jane Milky Way, wonderful to see you. All right, you guys, sending you lots of love. I'll see you guys again later.